I call upon the spirit of the owl, messenger of wisdom. Welcome to the temple of the owl. Merry meet, seekers of knowledge, for I am Matzow, your mystical guide through the mystical realms. And I wish you many blessings. In today's episode, we will discuss Litha, the summer solstice, also known as Midsummer, within the heart of the Temple of the Owl, hidden deep in the forests of Northern California. Here, amidst the whispers of ancient trees, we embark on a journey through the realms of magic and spirituality. As we traverse these enchanted paths, know that our perspective is that of the modern witch. And as always, these musings shared within these hollowed walls are but seeds of thought, offerings to inspire the magic that dwells within you. Witchcraft, you see, is a personal odyssey, a sacred dance between the practitioner and the unseen forces that shape our reality. I want to say a special shout out thank you for those listening on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP, Digital Broadcasting. And I want to thank Michael Strange for helping me with this show and inspiring the show. I also want to give dedication to my friend Rohan. And thank you guys for listening if you're listening on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. Now, let's stir the brew with the MOD, or the Message of the Day. It's an incantation to set the tone for a mystical discourse. And today's quote is, "The sabot of midsummer is a potent and magical date. This is a great time for fire magic, bonfires, garden witchery, herbal and green magics, and the best night of the year to commune with the elemental kingdom and the fairies. This is a time of celebration in nature. Everything is green and growing. Nature is celebrating her achievement." And that's by Ellen Dugan from the Seasons of Witchery. Now, this is the last series I'm going to do of the Wheel of the Year. And we started out at Lunasaw, and we made it all the way around. We did all 8 episodes for all 8 Sabbats. And I really wanted to talk about these Sabbats on the Wheel of the Year because I feel it's more important to understand why we are celebrating and talk about and teach about these holidays. And I think it's more important to understand what it is we're celebrating and why, instead of how we do it, and understanding the reasons behind some of the things why we celebrate these things the way we do. So we started at Lunasaw, we went all the way around. Today we're going to talk about Litha. Now, Litha is also known as Midsummer. It's a pagan festival celebrated on the summer solstice, typically around June 20th to the 22nd in the Northern Hemisphere. It marks the longest day of the year, when the sun is at its highest point. Litha honors the power of the sun and the peak of a growing season. Now, where does the name come from? Litha is the name of a European and North African goddess of power and fertility. The holiday has many names and traditions throughout history. In ancient Rome, they call it Vastella, Gathering Day in Wales, All Couples Day in Greece, Alban Heflin in the Anglo-Saxon, and the Feast of Europa in ancient Gaul. It was a time of community gatherings to discuss the future of the tribes, followed by celebration and feasting. Traditional celebrations include bonfires, feasting, singing, and dancing. It is a time for magic, particularly for love, healing, and prosperity, and for connecting with nature and the energy of the sun. The origins and traditions of ancient Europe Bonfires, dancing, and feasting were common to honor the sun god and encourage a bountiful harvest. In Celtic and Norse traditions, celebrations included fire rituals and offerings to the deities. And the Christian adaptation, integrated into the feast of St. John the Baptist, was similar festivities. Now today, modern pagans and witches continue to honor Litha with rituals that celebrate the sun, nature, and personal growth. Lighting bonfires to represent the sun and its energy, and sharing meals with seasonal foods and herbs. Also, engaging in joyful activities around the bonfire, going on nature walks, connecting with nature by spending time outdoors. Some rituals and spells are about performing rituals for abundance, love, and protection. Decorating altars with sun symbols, flowers, and greenery. These activities emphasize the celebration of light, growth, and community. The use of a cauldron representing the crone, the goddess Sarodin, is to remind us of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Some pagans decorate their wells with ribbons and colors to bring blessings and have a well-dressing ritual. Now, the summer solstice, it marks the longest day and the shortest night of the year, when the sun is at its highest point. It's a time of celebration in many cultures, often including festivals, feasts, bonfires, and rituals to honor the sun and the peak of its power. In ancient traditions, it symbolizes a time of abundance, growth, and the fullness of life. Modern celebrations include gatherings at historical sites, like Stonehenge, where people watch the sunrise and engage in various festivities. Midsummer is often associated with fairies and other mystical beings, drawing on folklore and traditions. In European myths, Midsummer's Eve is a time when the veil between the worlds thin, allowing humans to interact with the fairy realm. Now, Shakespeare's A Midsummer's Night Dream famously depicts this magical aspect, featuring mischievous fairies like Puck. Celebrations sometimes include storytelling, dancing, and rituals meant to invite fairy blessings or protection, reflecting the enchanting and mystical nature of the holiday. The ritual theme is the defeat of the light god. It is usually celebrated on the eve rather than the day of the solstice, and that's why we call it Midsummer's Eve. And the solstice is when the sun is at its peak of its power. Just think of it as the same as the sun's version of the full moon. Now, the moon waxes and wanes in 28 days, but the sun takes a whole year. It is the longest day and the shortest night. Now, solstice literally means sun stands still. And we know that it's not the sun that is standing still. It is the earth, because the earth is on an axis, and then it begins its journey around the sun again. The love of the goddess and god are so great that the energy becomes like a crescendo. The god has grown to become the divine king. He is at the peak of his power, but now he begins to wane. Every day after this day, the nights will get longer as we descend into the dark half of the year. The shadow god, the dark king, takes over on this day. The god of light relinquishes control to the god of dark after being defeated. This is a metaphor for the dark side of life that we all have to face. We all have to deal with our shadow selves. And it's not that it's evil, it's a necessary part of life that is inevitable. We cannot grow without death. There cannot be a growing season without a waning season. There can be no life without the death that precedes it. Now, my coven sometimes has a mock battle where the Dark King this time wins the battle. The Oak King is the god of light, and the Holly King is the god of the dark, his shadow self. Now, throughout history, people have acknowledged the sacrifice god, the death of vegetation or the sun. In astrology, we move from the social sign of Gemini to the mother figure of Cancer. The energy is no longer direct, it moves from side to side like a crab. Cancer asks us to look inside and think about our relationships and our emotions. It is known as the longest day, but we feel it at the longest twilight, the times in between time that are known to be powerful times. Dawn, noon, sunset, and midnight are the most magical times. The sunset takes so long on this day, and I love going outside and feeling that energy. The folklore says that the gates to the fairy realm are open, and we have these stories of these winged creatures, happy and magical. But they are not always friendly. We must remember to revere and honor these entities, always treating them with respect and manners. Never trust them fully, and never assume anything. Travelers are warned not to enter certain woods or paths during Midsummer's Eve. Missing people and animals have been reported to happen during this time. And travelers would use travel spells and carry extra protection. Now, some of these spells include carrying a rock a certain amount of time and then stop and place the stone down, leaving the negative energy you carried in the stone. Now, leaving libations or offerings to fairies is a ritual that involves sharing your food or drink with the spirits. Simply raise your glass and toast and pour out some on the ground for the fairies, or place some sugary foods in a specific spot as offerings, and then ask for the blessings in return. The Christians associated this day with Saint John, and we use the plant Saint John's wort in a lot of our rituals at this time because it is a solar plant. The flower represents the cross, the symbol of earth, and we use it for protection. Another tradition is to create protection charms. Some witches carry a buckeye with us, and I always have, and that's a seed, the seed coverings that grow on soapberry trees that are ripe at midsummer. They represent the eye of the Native Americans and held them as sacred and wore them for protection because they believed that the spirit of the tree would watch over and protect them during the winter months. Another amulet of protection that symbolizes the eye is the God's eye. It's created by 2 sticks on a cross and then colorful yarn woven to create a protection charm. And it looks like an eye, and you can hang it around your house or protection. You could wear it, and you might have seen these before, these things called God's eyes. little arts and crafts. It is a time for wild crafting, where witches go out into the wild and gather herbs and flowers for our spells. It is important that you do extensive research on any herbs or flowers before ingesting or burning. Consult a doctor before taking any herbs for medical care. A great book that I like to use is called The Complete Book of Incense and Oils and Brews by Scott Cunningham, and The Witch's Herbal by Ellen Dukin. And that's who we had the quote from in the beginning of the story of the show. Those are both really good books that teach you a lot about how to do things with this herbs. But there are several books that can teach you about green witchery and garden magic, and how to correctly identify the use of flowers and herbs in our magic. Now, the Druids held mistletoe as a sacred plant, known for its magical and healing properties, cut from the sacred oak tree. When they harvest it, they would use a specific tool called the golden sickle, and it was only used to cut that tree. Now, witches, we use a magical knife called the bowline knife, or I call it the white-handled knife, and we use it to cut our herbs. It doesn't matter if you use a specific, like a special knife or a regular butter knife. Well, just make sure that the blade is only used for this specific task of cutting herbs. Now, when the Druids harvested the mistletoe, they placed a cloth on the ground to catch the fallen herbs. It is said that when an herb touches the ground, the earth absorbs its magical energy. So use a natural cloth to catch the fallen herbs or flowers when you cut them with your bowline knife, and keep the energy with your plant. The mistletoe is used for healing and protection in the folklore. From Italy to France, Japan, Sweden, and Rome, mistletoe was added to the gris, or the charm bags, from Santeria and voodoo cults. So June is known as a wedding month, and we celebrate by performing hand-fasting rituals. A pagan wedding was called a hand-fasting. Now, many of today's weddings customs share pagan origins. We focus on the abundance of food and drink as we celebrate with friends and family. The flowers are in bloom and the earth is abundant. The god and goddess dance tonight, and we drum and laugh and have a good time under the candlelight. This is a time for the energy of fire. Fire purifies and creates change. Fire is what makes us feel passion, and it's what drives us to create and share ideas, and then move those ideas into a plan, and then we could take action. Fire can burn wishes written down on a piece of paper. It can light a candle, bringing forth the energy. It could light a jack-o'-lantern on Samhain. It could warm a house, cook good food, but yet it could consume us and be destructive. But from the ashes of fire, a new creation can be reborn. You can feel more power now in your chakras because the fire drives us and it motivates us towards our goal. As we move forward, let's take some time to reflect and focus, have some personal time. Talk to the gods and work with the energy of the earth. Take some time out and reflect and recharge. Ground your bare feet to the earth as you watch the sunset on the longest day, and feel that magical energy that I know I feel, and I know you could feel it too. When we are all connected, so I can feel it, then you can too. So here are some other ways you can celebrate Litha with me. Decorate your altar with statues of the god and go for a holiday walk. Get out in the fresh air. As we let your body go into a trance, notice the abundance of life everywhere. The trees, the birds, and the animals are active. Think about what you want to achieve in your life. Are you burning the fires towards your goal, or are you just stagnant? Focus on what you want to achieve next. One way I like to celebrate is I like to wish upon the petals of a rose. Make a wish and kiss the petal of the rose and then float it on a natural body of water. Chant your wish and know that it will make it to its destination. Throw a party. Invite friends and family and enjoy the fruits and vegetables of the season. Visit your local farmer's market and make meals based on fiery foods like pork, corn, wild rice, and squash. Remember, you are welcoming summer and the element of fire. Light bonfires, calling forth protection and purification. And wander in the wilds collecting sacred herbs and blossoms. Adorn your altar with sun symbols, vibrant flowers, and summer's beauty, reflecting on the earth's abundance. With gratitude, we embrace the longest day, celebrating the sun's mighty reign. However you celebrate, remember the core reasons of why we celebrate and have a good time. And I want you guys to just have a good time. I'll leave you guys with a poem for Litha. And it's called The Oak King and the God of Oak. Growings, things, give your crown to the Holly King, God of Horn, and waning light, guide us all through the night. Shadow come and show the way, open the gates to the Fae. Litha comes but once a year, fill with fire and banish fear. And that's from Christopher Penzak. Blessed be, you guys. Now, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys have a great Litha and enjoy the summer solstice. I hope you guys have a great time. This is going to be the last of this series of episodes, but I encourage you to go back and listen to the old ones about the Wheel of the Year and learn as I learn together. Thank you guys for listening to the Temple of the Owl. I look forward to celebrating many more rituals with you guys. Thank you for listening on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, the Troubled Minds Radio Network. Blessed be.
For many centuries, witchcraft